happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the black kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!
Oh, I think that there's always that time, when summer comes around, when you really get into a full panic and you think, oh my God, I really have to do something now. It's the ultimate threat. You can't get around it. I mean, the basic thing is you've got to be fit or you're gonna look like mashed potatoes. I didn't make the rules,
Celebrate National Fitness Month. Join Scandinavian now for just $19 a month. Call 1-800-695-7777.
Coming in salty, coming in a little hot, but
I hate Michigan.
who doesn't?
Fucking dumbasses. And I don't like Ryan Day. I want him fired. You suck! I want Ryan Day fired. I want Michigan to be seceded off from the nation. And let's pretend that we don't know them anymore.
Who are we giving? Are we giving them to anybody? Or are they just their own thing? Are they just?
Might as well give them to Canada. Fucking, we don't care. Fucking, what point do you serve? Your fucking teams suck. Fucking Pistons haven't been good since Ben Wallace.
Yeah, dude, that's tough.
The fucking Tigers and the Lions. Oh my. Well, fuck y'all. Fucking
Man.
Michigan.
I thought the Lions actually were looking pretty good this year, but then they got their hearts broken this week or on Thanksgiving. So
They're supposed to. They're the Lions. They're not supposed to be victorious.
Well, that guy they got as their quarterback is a fucking douche. I forget what's his name. Dude, that was
Titty face.
Titty face. I mean, Canada though, we can give them Michigan and they can keep Teddy Hart, Steve, because I watched that documentary that you recommended, and yeah, man, I didn't realize Teddy. There was another person in the Hart lineage, and he was such a douchebag.
Grand piece of shit. I'm gonna make them my prostitutes. I'm gonna make you guys my prostitutes. Fucking don't. Oh my God. How the fuck did he get away with murder?
My thing is this: he didn't. Did you watch the whole thing? Because at the end, they're like, "Nah, did he go to jail?" Because at the end,
he went to jail. He went to jail for the assault charges, and then he got out. Then he beat that case, and then the whole missing person. Like, he didn't go to jail for that
because he wasn't there. Because at the end, that's the one thing. The guy's a total cunt. He's a douchebag. Pretty talented wrestler by the video they were showing in it, though. He could do some shit, whatever.
Yeah, he's a
they paint it as if he has killed this woman, this one of his his angels or whatever you want to call it. And then at the end, from what I remember, they actually find out. They're like, this guy's just a douchebag that's full of shit and talking shit because he won't be clear and he never gets out of like this persona he has. He just acts like a cunt the whole time. But they can confirm where he was at. He wasn't in jail, but he was he was wrestling the night she disappeared, or he was nowhere near her. So they know he hasn't killed her, but he's just that behavior is weird because that's the same shit that Army Hammer guy did that the chicks on that documentary explained, where it's just like, yeah, you get in with him and then he just starts like systematically just like beating you down until you're just trapped with this dude. It's a very fucking weird documentary. It's just like this. I have a couple questions about the guy who was filming it. He kind of got away, he kind of like, he took the blame away from himself, but it's like, dude, you were sitting there filming it. You knew. You can act like you didn't see that shit, but you were sitting there filming this guy for like a decade.
Man, that just shows you how manipulative Teddy was, though. Like, because I don't think that guy was under the ruse. He just like, he's going with what was presented to him. And like Teddy was presenting to him his wife, and he told him that the girl was his girlfriend of years. In fact, he just met that girl that day when they were shooting. And like, but the guy, the shooting, he was just like, oh yeah, everything he's telling me is actual fact. until like it took him a while to realize, oh, this guy's he's full of shit.
Loves cats, loves emotionally and physically beating women, and can fucking do a shooting star press like a motherfucker. Uh, See, but I do sympathize with that guy because when I was in film school in Orlando, we had to do a documentary class, and I didn't know what to do it about. I was in a group and we were trying to figure out what to do. And I was looking shit up online, and I found this guy that lives in Orlando named Mike Busey. I don't know if you've ever heard of this dude. He's kind of half notorious, but he's just kind of like a jackass hanger on. He's a fucking sort of an internet personality. He lives in a mansion in Orlando, and he's just like an ultimate bro. He looks like a douchebag. He's actually related to Gary Busey.
Mm.
But we did a documentary about that guy, and even in like the a week that we were following that dude around, because we wanted to get a good documentary, we filmed him doing a bunch of shit where it was just like, man, this guy's a fucking cunt, dude. I don't want to like by the end of it, I was like, I don't want to have anything to do with it. That happened in 7 days. I mean, that didn't happen for that guy in that documentary for like years or whatever, but
Yeah,
I don't know. I kind of sympathize with him in that regard, but like it's wild if you have all that and then you're like, oh shit, this guy was just like basically entrapping these. That was wild, but it was a good documentary.
it
For
is.
sure.
You're at home with Kate and Allie, weeknights at 6:30 on Fox 19.
Well, hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Matt G with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your talk boys and your Walkmans, because we some real motherfucking G's. Dun, 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 dun. Real motherfucking G's. Dun, 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 dun. Real motherfucking G's. Yeah, you know that beat. I don't even know. I feel like that was a cello flute.
That was just a high ass like a synthesizer. That's crazy how like simplistic some of those beats were. But that was a fucking. I need to put that on rotation at the gym, Steve. I haven't heard
One of
that
the
in a while.
nastiest.
Um,
Whoever did shit wrong and try to just stay easy now. It's on you and your dog. Think that y'all dog and shit. Both of you bitches can come and suck my doggy dick.
time to pay that pipe. Um, damn, I need to remember that one. I've been trying to find some new music or some new old music, Steve. You gotta fucking clean out the rotation every once in a while.
Yeah, man, I don't. I got about 3,000 tracks on mine. I go from goddamn. I got some Jay-Z to Bobby Boobland to goddamn 9 Inch Nails. Goddamn it, I'm
I
all over the place with mine.
I literally just fall into it because I don't. I just have like streaming shit, or I'll listen to it on YouTube. Like get a playlist on that. But I've been listening to a lot of Big Crit, which I enjoy. Tenacious D, a lot of that, a lot of old school Tenacious D, and one weird one. The Hot Rod soundtrack. I don't know if you remember that movie with Andy Samberg, but there's a band called Europe that's like an old hair band. And it's filled with that kind of music. So it's been a little bit of everything for me for a little bit. But
Mm.
I don't know. Sometimes I know that I'm like, I know I'm missing like a lot of my memory of songs because like I'll just forget names of people I used to listen to on a daily basis, and that's sad. I don't know if that's pod or old age or what, but it's gone, Steve. It's
Yeah,
gone.
mine is just about tap too. And yeah, we're talking about all things December 1st in the 90s. And I want to give a birthday shout out to one of my best friends, Ron Rice. And also happy heavenly birthday to the late great Richard Pryor, man.
Damn.
December 1st, man. Oh, one of the godfathers of this modern art we
Ron
call
Jarrow
comedy.
and Richard Pryor share a birthday. That's dope.
Yeah, man.
That's cool.
Uh, Starting off in 1990, Golden Girls is airing the episode Stand By Your Man. Blanche makes a date with a man she meets at a library, not realizing that he is confined to a wheelchair. Ain't that some shit?
Yeah, she's got to figure that one out. Although I'm surprised at this point in her life, with all like how prolific she is with dudes, that she's never run into this before, Steve.
Man, I'm surprised she didn't use her own two eyes to see the pair of wheels behind this fucking library table.
Ted's a handsome guy, Steve. You know,
She
and
she was
she was hungry. She was thirsty. Because when we come into this episode, um, you know, we're at the crib. Everyone's hanging out. Rose is fucking with some dogs. She's into dogs in this episode. But Blanche, it's a Saturday night, Steve. Blanche, no man to be had. I mean, this has to be some kind of something's wrong here. The
it's
Matrix
a
is fucked
rarity.
up,
Yeah.
and she's feeling it. And you know, what do you do? Rose has some crazy, fucking stupid answer because she's crazy, and Dorothy's like, she gives the most old woman answer possible. You know what I like to do on a Saturday night? Go to the library, Steve.
I like to go to the library, Blanche.
And I curl up with a book. The book never disappoints me, if you know what I mean.
The books are sexy. They always smell like old farts. Why did like that bothers me? Can we Google that and get the answer? Why do
that?
library books always smell like booty hole? Do you remember that in library? Like the oldest books, like you open the pages and they smell like fucking unwiped ass.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
don't remember that?
it's like, oh, for sure. I mean, there's a library smell, Steve. It just is a
Why?
smell.
I like the smell of the booty hole pages. It really turns me on and I stop being dry.
Dorothy. But, you know, Blanche at this point has nothing. She has no man. I mean, she's not going to get one hanging out with Rose and those puppies or Sophia and her dimensioned out ass. She's all fucked up in this episode. So
What
we
is a
go.
dog?
They go to the library, Steve. I mean, why not? Maybe if she doesn't find some dick, she's gonna find a good book to read. You know, or a book
About dick.
Yeah, why not? And but as soon as they get in, I mean, they can't even get to the help desk to get a new fucking library card, and she's already locked in on a dude, Steve. The tractor beam has fucking caught the attention of a one Ted who's sitting there
Yeah.
reading a book at the library. Not really what I would assume Blanche wants, but you never. Maybe he's looking at a porno mag. I don't know. Getting juiced up.
She's dickmatized.
And I mean, I gotta say, Ted's got game, Steve. He's
You got to.
he looks like Danny Aiello. He's got some swag. He's and he's actually a sports agent in Miami, which means buku dollars. So right away, Blanche is like, "Oh, hello." Turns out Blanche also tells him, just to impress him, that she was actually the first woman ever let in to the Dolphins locker room. And he's like, "Oh, as a reporter?" And she's like, "No, the photographer." Wink.
Oh, 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 my Dickens.
So Ted's like, well, he says a couple other, pleasantries and actually gets her to agree to come over to his place at 8 for a little dinner, Steve. And she's like, what do you think? What kind of woman do you think I am? You know me too well.
Yeah, a woman that approaches men in a library.
Yeah, I mean, that's a Hail Mary, Steve. That's like, I've never been that desperate. Maybe at a bookstore, a library though. I mean, what are you gonna get? You might get like a 60-year-old cougar that's just ready to go, though. You never know.
Man, it's hard to get sex in the bed, let alone this motherfucker got sex in the library, offered to him.
Why not? Right then and there. And they figure it all out. I mean, Blanche is ready to go right then and there. Dorothy's just trying to get a fucking updated uh, library card. And they get a date going, 8 o'clock. And he's like, you know what? I actually got to go. I got some business to take care of. He's a professional, Steve. And instead of getting up and walking away, my man rolls away. And Blanche, yeah, Blanche is like, oh, I do declare.
Oh my god.
What in the quadriplegic is this?
My salvation.
So yeah, so now she's going on a date with a crippled guy, Steve, and here's my thing. She's a nervous. And it is kind of weird to talk about, but at the same time, Steve, I gotta say 50-50, the dick still works. And then
The
really, we
dick
all
still
know
works.
he's gonna roll that dick right into some puss, and it's gonna be just like like any other guy. But she's still worried. I don't know what about. Maybe, you know,
And if that don't work, his mouth still works.
exactly. He can come in, just throw a little. He can go into both areas. He's crippled, so he eats ass.
He
He'll
got to
go
eat
in.
ass. It's
I
right there in
mean,
his face.
and Blanche is clearly a person that looks for that kind of kink. So, um,
That's easy access.
she goes home, has a little freak out. She kind of explains everything, and everyone's like, "What are you freaking out about?" And she comes up with this scheme where she's like, "You know what? Just to make it not awkward, I'm gonna take a chaperone." Which, okay, you're creating an awkward situation right then and there. But Dorothy isn't willing to do it. And then she gets Sophia to do it by calling in a little favor, Steve. Dorothy or Sophia owes Blanche, she owes her one.
Yeah, I
So
guess she stuck a banana in somebody's tailpipe, and Blanche covered for her.
she pulled
And
a Eddie Murphy and fucking Beverly Hills. Shout out Kevin Smith in the Clerks animated series, by the way, Steve.
uh,
We had a lot of fun hours with that. But anywho,
fucking
sidetracking Sally
Second
back to
Sally.
this. So she takes Sophia to this guy's palatial apartment. Not only does he live in Miami in some dope ass apartment, he's got a manservant, Steve. So this guy is balling out of control in Miami too.
yeah, with silver platters, delivering cheesecakes, the whole nine. And before she left to go to Ted's, Rose asked if she could have the puppy because she's just fucking cock hungry for some puppies all of a sudden. And Blanche says no. It's gonna leave mess all over the place. And if you want a motherfucker licking on your face and fetching bowls and shit, just get you a man.
Damn. I mean, he can do, and everyone's against it, Steve. I don't know for that reason, but the dog, it's not popular. But Rose, like I said, she's very dog hungry, and while everyone is not into it, and he isn't telling her flat out no, she's like, but the decision's already been made because I got a puppy, bitch. So she's done that. She's done a
Yeah.
Rose thing. She's pulled a Rose.
It's not in the contract, it's not in the lease, so fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, you trying to fucking get us kicked out of this dope ass place? What are you kidding me? For that
Yeah,
fucking puppy? But it is a cute puppy, Steve. I gotta say. I mean, it's a cutie.
it,
It's a
it's a cute
cutie.
puppy, but it's Blanche's house.
Yeah, so TBD on the dog. It's there now. The decision that so basically they've been guilted into accepting this dog. Cut over to fucking Teddy Van Winkle's place. Teddy Van Twinkles and Twinkles. He's having a dinner. Like honestly, if I'm Blanche, fuck it. Let's have an experiment. Let's figure this out. Let's see what it is. At least nothing else. It's going to be a great story. But Ted, not only is he rich, he's an agent. He's like he senses this hesitancy. He's probably run into this many times. He's in a wheelchair. So he's like,
Yeah.
"Look, I can tell you're kind of weird about this, but everybody who was paralyzed for the most part was normal at one point." He's like, "Look at this. Ted, Steve, he was he was a baseball player. He was a slugger." And he's like, I'm
Yeah.
still this guy. The dick that's in these fucking pants standing up, that shit fucking works. And the only thing that we need to do right now is to get your fucking weird fucking mom. Actually, Sophia says that, or Blanche says Sophia's her grandma, which is
Yeah.
insane. But
And they set up this backstory that like Sophia's Southern and shit, so she has to make up this accent. And she's like, "Yeah, she taught me how to put up peach preserves and make our own clothes." And then Sophia says, "We was po." That was like to me the funniest part.
she was fucking killing that. And Ted fucking charms his way into them drawers, Steve, because he's like, look, here's what's happening. I got Andy here. I mean, he cleans up bodies for me on the regular. In this case, he's just gonna take your mom or grandma or whatever the fuck's going on here
Yeah,
away so I can
your
bang.
Mima. Yeah.
And that's what happens. We don't see the bang. That's on the Too Hot for TV edition of this episode. But then we cut to the next day, and everybody's at the house, sans Blanche, because she didn't come back last night, Steve.
Yeah. She spent the night at Teddy's.
She made them wheels get squeaking. You know, there was a lot of the mattress was squeaking, the wheels were whatever was going on. It was all there was a lot of WD-40 involved. You know.
Yeah. You ever tried it on a wheelchair, Blanche? And so when Blanche comes back, she gets a call from Ted, and he needs to have a talk in person. And Blanche is thinking, oh, he wants to escalate things. Slow it down, Blanche. So Ted eventually gets there. Blanche sees that Rose has the dog, and it's just kind of like whatever. That's a little side story. Anyways, Ted's here, and
Ted's here.
like, yeah, Ted's here, and you know, he's supposed to be going off somewhere. I can't. Do you remember where it was?
He's going out of town. Like, I gotta. She's like, hey, let's. You know, I'm into this. Blanche basically talks herself into the relationship. She's worried about it, and then like talking her way through it is like, why not? Like, why should I fucking like keep going to another guy? This guy's cool. So he gets there, and she's like, look, let's do this. Like, let's go on a vacation. Like, I'm into this. You can let me be your girlfriend type shit. And he's like, I can't do that. I gotta go to Philly. I gotta go home to Philly because he's from Philadelphia, which is a big red flag already. You should have been seeing this coming a mile away. But she's like, okay, well, you got to go to Philly. That's fine. Let's go on a vacation together. And he's still a little hesitant. And then she puts two and two together. And she's like, wait a second. You're married, aren't you? And Ted's like, what do you want to do here?
Well, he doesn't say shit. At first, she has like, oh, so it's another woman. You're married. Look, Blanche.
I plead the fifth.
This motherfucker got a whole wife and a side bitch. I got both legs. I got 2 legs and 2 jobs. And I know I could drive cars. I can't find one bitch in all of Atlanta. Ain't this some shit? And the bitches that I do get are basic as fuck. They're just 1 chromosome removed from being a gremlin. And this bitch has fucking got her own house in Miami. I know she's a widow. Why the fuck? This is some bullshit, man.
Steve,
this episode's
is a bygone
over.
era, though. Like, you can't be comparing yourself to this. Also, these are people at the end of their life. You're right at the beginning of yours. You're starting to blossom. You're blooming. These people, the shit's fading to the point where Blanche, she was fucking like Dallas Cowboys and shit. Now she's fucking a guy in a wheelchair. And not to say nothing about people in wheelchairs, but Blanche could have the pick of the litter back in the day, and now she's left to figure out what to do from options at a library on a Saturday.
Yeah. Fucking years removed from getting trains ran on her by Roger Staubach and Drew Pearson. But it's all good, though. Oh.
And I mean, really, you know, she kicks Ted to the curb. So, you know, really, all this drama that you're creating, he gets taught, he gets the lesson. She's like, I'm not going to cheat on a man, or I'm not going to be the second woman in a relationship, except for that one time. You know, she figures out, oh, wait, this has happened before, over and over again.
Last time I'll pick up a guy at a library again.
And also, just to tie this up in a bow, Rose has to give up the dog. She figures out a good home for the dog, and yada yada. No more dog. It's gone. But it was cute. Steve.
It was a cute fucking puppy. But you know somebody who probably didn't watch this episode of Golden Girls on December 1st in 1990, Matthew Degedic.
Who, Steve?
Junior. Probably Alvin, Simon, Theodore. Yeep.
Why?
Because it was the final episode of Alvin and the Chipmunks, and this is probably my 1A, 1B with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, because it's a fucking banger. I really appreciate when cartoons tap into pop culture. And look at this parodying of Star Trek, just like Muppet Babies would do from time to time. They would do parodies of different movies and TV shows, just like Tiny Toon Adventures. They would do parodies of different things from pop culture. I just always thought that was clever. And Alvin and the Chipmunks, it actually started on the day I was born, which is very symbolic. We have that bond, Alvin and the Chipmunks. You started on NBC on September 17, 1983, and here you are, 1990, December 1st. Go Alvin, go Simon, go Theodore, and David Seville.
Alvin! I love this shit too. It wasn't my favorite rodent cartoon, but it was up there.
It's
It's
up
more
there,
of a
man.
rescue rangers type guy. You know, it's not really the same animal. It's close. But I didn't remember so much. I just remember the singing and shit. But I guess it was like it did do that pop culture shit where they would reference like movie stars and movies and shit in the show. But it was a dope show. See, they still make shit with this. It's that good.
But it sucks now, Matt. I like this when it was a cartoon. This CGI, I don't know if I can even call it a CGI shit cartoon. They CGI'd my fucking turtles. Don't care for that shit. But yeah, man, they would parody like Michael Jackson. They would do like a spinoff of Beat It or something. Then they would do like a Madonna, because you know most of this was done in the 80s. But man, I wish it was available somewhere. Come on YouTube, come on Hulu, somebody. And I guess it's because of copyright, trademark, blah, 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 blah.
Put it out. Whoever's like, what is the deal with this? Are you people stupid to not want to make money? Sign the deals. Let us watch this shit. I'm sick of having to search for some of these shows. Third Rock from the Sun, Steve. We're not talking about it this week, but I just gotta say, shit like that, where it's like this is a good show, and I have to buy some shit to actually watch it or pirate it. Just put it out.
Makes no fucking sense. And I don't know if you remember, Matt, in September, we had talked about the beginning of Super Mario Brothers 3 and Rick Moranis' Gravedale High. Well, grand opening, grand closing, because already in December 1st, day damn one, Vivian, Super Mario Brothers 3, Gravedale High. Sorry, Mick Moranis. Goodbye.
It's out. It's cutthroat, that cartoon business, Steve. And Gravedale High, especially, I mean, no one was asking for it. Shout out to Rick Moranis. You gave it a shot, but yeah, I mean,
look at these goddamn characters. Mattel, Kenner, they're all like, "Well, what the fuck? We're not gonna put this in fucking toy shelves. Get the fuck out of here. What are we gonna do with this?
What are we thinking?
What are you? You're a human, but you're a fucking fish. Shut up. So you can survive in air." On land, yeah, fuck out of here.
And I mean, Super Mario Brothers 3, like, if Captain Lou Albano isn't at the beginning of it, then I'm sorry. Like, I'm just not into it. I'm sure it was fine, but I don't need it.
Throw the whole canon away. Somebody who probably didn't watch any of this shit in 1990, December 1st, is probably that 56 Heisman Trophy Award winner, Ty Detmer, the quarterback of Brigham Young.
What did he do in the NFL, Steve? Not a goddamn
thing, because he won the Heisman, Matt. There are only about a handful of them in the modern times who they win that trophy and then they actually go on and do productive things with their lives in the NFL. Ty Detmer wasn't one of them. We remember the name.
Yeah,
that's it.
Definitely. And that's why. But then fizzle. I mean, there's plenty of Penn State there's some Heisman winners from Penn State or superstars that you're like, this is a no-brainer. These people are gonna be fucking beasts in the NFL. No.
Kijana Carter.
Curtis Enos.
Curtis Enos. What the fuck? Yeah.
LeVar Arrington could ball though. That dude's a beast.
Yeah, he did his thing. Yeah, he was a Redskin. But in 1991, the final episode of Bucky O'Hare, just like Rick Moranis shit, just like the Super Mario Brothers 3 shit, let's give you about 6-7 episodes and get this shit fuck out of here. And it aired in syndication. That's how bad it was. I mean, I like the animation. We talked about it before. It looks cool, but I mean, I don't know, man. It just didn't touch the palette like they wanted it to.
I can't say for Bucky O'Hare though, just seeing the logo again and remembering they had some baller ass toys for that cartoon. It might have been a
It,
shit cartoon, but they had some baller toys for that.
it was like the same design as the Turtles toys back then.
Yeah, exactly. And they maybe that's why I even got glommed onto it because it kind of like melted into the collection. You know, they instead of Rat King, maybe they go against the Green Bunny on this. You
The
know,
Green
whatever.
Bunny.
Toxic Bunny or whatever the fuck he was called.
Fucking
Gush.
he's going against the Gush. But in 1991, on that same day, Miami quarterback Dan Marino, he sets an NFL record when he reaches 3,000 yards, passing for the 8th time in his career during the Dolphins' 33-14 win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Joe Robbie Stadium.
Dude was a fucking baller, Steve. Also from Pittsburgh. So double win there. It's just sad that he never won a Super Bowl.
It's
That's gotta
sad he had to stay in Florida that whole time.
I feel like that's got to be, even if in a losing era, that's just got to be a win, Steve. To be the guy in Miami, that's got to be great. Even if you're not doing great, Miami is not filled with people who are like Philly fans. You know, it's just rich people. They don't give a fuck. So you're just hanging out, you're living the good life. There's no stake.
Retirees.
And he was good. So it was like that, you get double bonus points because it's like, it ain't your fault. You're good. It's just we can't get everybody else here. Sorry, it's not the perfect season. They got that, and you know maybe they'll. It looks like they're going to be pretty good for a while now, the way they're playing. So, you know,
Sure.
I don't know. I feel like I think they can hold that shit together. They're in a weak division now. The Patriots suck. They can take that. I feel like
The
they can.
Jets are the Jets. I mean, you do
They
got to
just
play. I
benched
mean,
their fucking quarterback. Who's the other team in that division?
the Bills.
Ooh, but they could get in the wild card and at least do some damage, you know. They're better than what they have been. I mean, they've eclipsed many teams that used to beat the shit out of them for decades. So, you know, Dan Marino helped
Patriots.
cement that legacy. He started it. He got them back on the path.
He tried. Somebody who probably didn't watch any of that shit in 1991 is probably the young Britney Spears. She appeared on the program Star Search, and what a cutie she was.
Like
Oh,
Star Search was a weird show. Like they had that show on, and I don't know. Did you ever watch it, Steve?
I did.
Did
Ed
you?
McMahon. Yeah, dude, I don't know what it was about Ed McMahon. Like as a kid, he was like, okay, I'll at least pay attention. Ed McMahon's on it.
He
It's
commands
weird.
attention, Steve. He
He
yells at you.
he,
Yes.
he does. If I was
Hey-o.
still up, I would watch them Johnny Carson shits. The shit that he did with Dick Clark, I would watch that shit. Fucking anything the fucking publishers clearinghouse shit. It's like,
Even
oh,
that, dude. Even on a fucking commercial, the guy was entertaining you, Steve.
he fucking he just it's something about him. He had just that player aura about him, man. Like Charlie Murphy said, hey man, he had an aura. It was like, I don't know, it was like purple or something. He just had it. Ed McMahon, he's fucking baller, and Britney Spears performed on his show back in 1991, and she's gone on to be hot and crazy, and then hot again, and then I don't know what the fuck.
You know, I think it just sort of it veers from hot. It's just a fluctuation. Sometimes she's crazy. Sometimes she's hot. I think it's both at the moment. She looks pretty great for what the condition I've seen her in recently, and I I think very much still crazy though, Steve. Still working on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, man. But they always say crazy coochie be the best coochie. But in 1992, the Jackie Thomas show premieres on ABC. Now, Jackie Thomas is a starring vehicle starring Tom Arnold. And he's a famous stand-up comic starring in his own sitcom titled The Jackie Thomas Show. Meanwhile, backstage, he's a loudmouth tyrant, but with a heart. So basically, it's a show about Tom Arnold.
And was he a famous stand-up, Steve, or was he a famous husband of a famous stand-up?
he was a famous husband of a famous stand-up.
Yeah.
And like in fairness, though, I will say the things that I did see him in and remember him in, he fucking killed it.
Oh, him in True Lies, Steve. That
True Lies. He was
baller.
in the shit with the fucking Soul Plane. That shit was it's like a hood classic, but he was in it. He delivered. He played the part that needed to be played. Just like a normal, like, hey, I'm the white guy in this black movie. Huh, here's my family, huh?
Yeah, yeah. He was in a movie called Big Bully or something too with Rick Moranis, I think. That was actually pretty funny. He was, we're talking shit, but it is crazy that, to be completely honest, he was most famous for being Roseanne's husband, but he
That's how it
did
started.
parlay that into being in an Arnold Schwarzenegger blockbuster movie and other movies, including Soul Plane. He was in a couple other like big name movies too, and so shout out to Tom Arnold. I don't even know what the fuck he's doing now. He's probably doing
And he was
cameos and shit.
and he was the host of Best Damn Sports Show for years. It was like him and John Sally and like some retired baseball player, I can't recall. But yeah.
Syracuse probably showed up. Everyone, the Goose.
And he was the host of SNL with musical guest Tupac Shakur, which was an odd pairing, but I digress. Also in 1992, the final episode of Wild and Crazy Kids airs on Nickelodeon with Donnie Jeffcoat, was it Annette Benes, and our boy, Omar Gooding. Well, do you remember the theme song? Wow, wow, wow.
Dude, Nickelodeon had some badass theme songs though back in the day, and Wild and Crazy Kids. You can't tell me a kid that was our age in the '90s who didn't want to roll down a hill covered in honey, to get covered in popcorn, Steve, or something. I don't even remember. Like, was there a competition, or were they just making these kids do stupid shit? Was there ever a
No, this
winner?
the crazy shit was with Mark Summers. He would have you doing all that crazy shit. But like Wild and Crazy Kids, they would do little obstacle courses that like I think it was a test of wills. You did have to have some speed. You had to have some hand-eye coordination for some of these things because they would play like little softball things and fucking, little shit like that, little kids games, tag, things of that nature.
I'm pretty okay. Well, it was a great show. I was always a Donnie Jeffcoat fan and Omar Gooding fan. They had a couple of female hottie hosts at the time that I had crushes on. And it was a time and place, Steve. I wanted to be on Wild and Crazy Kids so badly as a child. Just
I wanted
never
to be
lined
on
up.
like any early 90s Nickelodeon show I wanted to be on.
Guts.
Double Dare, Guts, Nick Arcade, Wild and Crazy Kids. God damn it, put me on What Would You Do? That was like the side bitch of Mark Summers. Like,
Oh yeah, where's like hidden camera shit?
yeah, and I mean they would do pie in the face shit, but it wasn't down and dirty like Double Dare.
Yeah. It wasn't down and dirty. It wasn't that real deal like Double Dare. But shout out to Nick Arcade because we all know fucking Phil Moore just lacing them pipes with them freestyles.
Now it's time to play some Mega Man. In 1993, December 1st, Home Improvement airs season 3, episode 11, Feud for Thought. At their high school reunion, Jill tries to avoid Joni Graham. Fucking bitch.
I mean, seriously, Steve, she stole Jill's man. But this is a through line of, I think this is the through line of these episodes that we watch, Steve. Communication, Steve. Communication. Just
Yeah.
be open, honest. And you're going to avoid a lot of fucking heartache. But we open up this episode and, you know,
B-Rad.
B-Rad, yeah, he's got his little hottie friend Ashley, and they're trying to study, Steve. They're trying to get some studying done.
In his room.
Studying. Yeah, and Jill's onto it. He's being pretty obvious about it. And instead of studying in his room, she's like, there's a perfectly good table here that you can't finger fuck in front of me.
Yeah.
So let's stay here. And then she gets a call on the phone, and apparently the invite was lost. Something happened. There was a snafu with the address, but she has got a high school reunion coming up in Washington next week, Steve. And, she's just finding out about it, but last minute, she wants to go. So she's like, Tim, can we do this? And Tim, and I totally understand this. He's like, you can go.
Yeah, I'm gonna fall back. I got the game coming up on the weekend, and
Empty house, just a couple of days of just open, whatever. I'm gonna
got the
masturbate in
fart.
bed just by myself, just chilling,
Yeah,
porno at full volume. Fuck the kids, you
shit, I
know.
could fart throughout the house.
But Jill's like, "Hey, what the fuck? You're going?" And he's like, "Why are we even going to this shit?" And she basically, I don't remember if she explains it exactly, but she's got this one friend, Joni, I believe her name is, and Joni is just a fucking, from what she's saying, a manipulative, shitty friend who stole her man and
Jack.
walked off in the sunset, leaving her in tears, wishing she had a best friend. So I'm right off the bat, I'm like, Joni, fuck that bitch,
Yeah.
fucking bitch.
And they're gonna be in DC for 2 days and 2 nights for this goddamn 20-year reunion. I remember being asked about my 20-year reunion. I was like, fuck them kids. Don't ever ask me about that.
When did that? I wasn't part. I never got that invite. I'm glad I didn't because
I didn't get an invite. It was just a former classmate asking me, like, if I want, like, the hell no, I don't want to fucking go. You can go. Shit.
Are you
Fuck
gonna
them
pay
people.
me to
Yeah.
go?
Like, do I get paid for an appearance? Because I should, because I'm Stephen fucking G.
Exactly.
uh,
I'd pay, Steve. I'd pay. And I'm gonna demand that Perrysburg fucking pays the price. But we wouldn't
Steve
go.
G. Yeah, Steve G, Mad G, we deserve a fee.
At least pay for the drinks.
Open bar, dude.
We're giving you fucking good jokes all night. That's the least you can do. Supply us with fucking beverage.
Yeah. A couple of margs, a couple of whatever Steve's having, whatever, I'm a girl drinker, so it's not gonna cost you a lot. I'm gonna get shit faced quick. And then it's gonna get real personal for a couple of people, Steve. I got
Oh
a couple of
yeah.
things I need to get off my chest. Just
Oh
like
yeah.
Jill circling back. And Jill, she's feeling a certain way. It's clear she wants to impress. Because, like you said, they're going to be gone a couple of days. She's packed everything in the closet and a tackle box that weighs about 100 pounds worth of makeup. So I don't know what she's planning to do exactly, but she's ready to go no matter what the situation is. And this is very indicative as somebody in a relationship with somebody that does this. I think this might be every woman, period, Steve.
Yeah.
You
That's
know.
just one day.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're just going for the day, and she's like, "Oh, I got a duffel bag with 8 options just in case." It's like we're not saying anywhere, just in case. Oh, okay. I got my dick in my hand apparently because that's all I got.
Just in case it snows in July.
Yeah, dude. So Tim, he's like, what are you doing? We're only going. He's speaking man talk, Steve, and he's like, not only am I only bringing this bag, I've taken care of. There's not even a suit bag because I got this suit in a bag, and he's got like a tent style suit, just in a little like homeless guy satchel. Steve, he could pop this thing over his shoulder, put it on a stick, and walk his way to a job interview. And as long as he has a couple hours, I think he said it's wrinkle resistant, so he can get that shit out and be good to go. From what he says.
From what he
And
says.
I'm into it because I'm not a suit guy, Steve. Give me this shit. What did it cost? $10? I'll take that.
Big on convenience. And Al arrives to help watch the boys. And Al is platted the fuck out, per usual.
Mm.
And he even bought cupcakes. He's so mindful, that Al Borland.
Yeah, he's he's a thoughtful guy, and being such, he wants to just impress Jill and Tim, help their kids out. And unfortunately for him, he wasn't prepared to do a PhD in taking care of these kids because Jill has like at least a 5-page dossier on all these things that the kids need. Brad's trying to finger fuck the chick, so stop that. Randy's got bronchitis, so he can't go outside. Mark's being
A
a fucking
pussy.
downer, so just deal with that. And there's pills to be had. There's fucking, it's the whole shebang. But I was like, go. I got this covered. And I got to say, for the people that are in this guy's life, you want Al watching your kids. Maybe Wilson, he seems well equipped, but
Yeah.
nothing's going to happen with Al, I don't think. He's just going to give you some cupcakes, and I'm into that.
And now they're at the reunion over in DC, and they spot well, Jill is spotted by one of her old friends who she doesn't recognize, and her name is Leslie Morrison. I guess they were cheerleaders together, and Leslie got a new nose. Oh, that's cute. Great. Get the fuck out of here, Leslie. And now they're going on with their day, and now Jill is spotted by Joni, and that bitch Joni, yeah, that one.
And
And
she's
bitch,
lived clearly in Jill's head too, because Jill's not like, oh, it's Joni and just going about her business. She's like hiding behind Tim. She's like, oh God,
yeah.
we got to get out of here. She's almost ready to book, Steve, and I've been there. I'm sometimes I'm this type of person where I don't want to have a confrontation. Let's just get the fuck out of here.
And being the complicated woman that she is, she wanted Tim to come there to support her, but she wants him to shut up. She wants to go home, but she doesn't want to leave. What the fuck? Yeah, that sounds very familiar. Anyone that's been in a relationship, yeah, they get it.
She's complicated, but instead of as they're trying to figure out, well, you're a bitch and this and that, Joni just makes her way over, and
And hugs her. Like,
yeah,
bitch, don't
very
touch me.
warm. Yeah, and it's not, and Jill just sort of goes with it. Tim's sort of sitting back, like maybe ready in case Jill fucking cocks back and decks this chick. But Joni seems very nice. She's like, oh my God, I want to catch up. And even does. I mean, this is where it's clear she's a dingbat, Steve. She
Yeah.
gets the exact situation she's wanted. Joni comes up, acknowledges there's some fucked up shit going on. Is like, I'd love to talk to you and go over, like, just talk. And there's a tone like, let's talk about the elephant in the room here of what happened between us. And Jill's like, she gets all panicky. And I think, dude, I have a lot of like similarities with Jill in this case because I would be like, she's like, no, 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 it's fine, water under the bridge, and Tim's like, what the fuck? Because this is complete opposite of what Jill's been saying the whole time, and she's just trying to
Yeah.
like say it's cool, no worries. I gotta go though, so maybe we can talk later. Blah 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 blah. blah like, blah, 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 and just like kind of, there's an awkwardness. They just leave.
I mean, she couldn't tell her herself when it happened. She had to find out through Alice, the crossing guard.
What are you
And
doing talking to a crossing guard? Did you get molested or some shit? What's going on?
and before they go upstairs, they run into Jack, fucking Jack of all hoes, Jack Graham. And Tim's like, you were in love with that motherfucker?
I guess if you're into that kind of thing, fucking
Yeah.
cheese ball, you could have that. See, it's
Bitch, I'm
like I'd be like, why did you bring me? You trying to make me jealous? What's going on here?
yeah, bitch, I'm Buzz Lightyear. The fuck?
I got a TV show. What's Jack got? So, Jack's he's not being a dick, but he's like he's like the Marlboro man basically. And he comes over and he's like they're nice to Jill and whatnot. And then we like sort of flash forward a little bit and we're going into the reunion now. We're in there and they sit down and we realize that Joanne and Jack have made it so that they're all sitting at the same table. And
Yeah,
so this is, I mean, goddamn, Jill's being like put into this situation she doesn't want to be in, but she's sitting there. There's some issue with like the PA or like the mic. So Tim and
yeah,
Jack leave. And it seems like Tim and Jack are actually like simpatico dudes. They're both kind of sort of like shitty at being a handyman. They're both just like, sort of whatever, like doofuses. But they go off. And while this is happening, Joanne sort of talks to Jill and sort of opens up to her and is like, you know, uh, oh, you have like they start showing each other like photos of their kids. So Jill shows them Brad and everybody, and I think she even sees Wilson in a photo, and there's a funny joke about that. But then Joanne shows Jill her kids, and she has a daughter of a certain age and a son
16.
that's 20. So the meaning that whenever they graduated, basically right after that, she had this kid. So, when Jack was taken away from Jill and her Joanne and Jack had their thing, right after that. It was a mistake, and she was apologetic about that. But she's like, we got married right after that because I got pregnant and had this kid. I was already 2 months pregnant whenever we graduated. So it sort of gives Jill some perspective, like, oh, they didn't just like shittily like laugh into the sunset, like, ha ha ha, let's fuck Jill. It wasn't like that. It was just like they got forced into a situation. They made a mistake, but they just had to be parents at that point. And Jill sort of realizes she was being dumb.
Yeah.
She's like, well, fuck, I feel shitty, and I would have, but she even sort of, I don't know if she's trying to make her feel bad, but she's like, even with all that, like, you should have like just told me because I would have been there for you, and they just sort of reconnect. So I thought it
Jill's
was,
better than me.
yeah,
I still wouldn't have gave a fuck. Like, fuck you and your kid.
yeah. I mean, I could definitely see myself. I am petty and with a lot of people in my past, but like this especially, that's a tough one to swallow. Even in that, it's like, well, you still fucking fucked me over. I'm sorry you got pregnant off of it, but damn.
Yeah, I mean, in the process, you fucked your friend over. You stabbed me in the back, bitch. Eat a dick.
But
Oh,
also,
that you were eating
Joanne's
dicks.
like, Jack isn't really, he's like handsome, but he's dumb as fuck. Like, she's like shit talking Jack the whole time, too. It's like, damn, ladies. I guess
Yeah.
you guys should be best friends because you just love shit talking your husband.
He ruins everything he touches. And Jill's like, oh man, that must suck being married to someone like that. And before you know it, Tim, while he's working on the amplifier or the PA, just sets it on fire.
Yeah, I mean, what did they expect? Hopefully they have good insurance. I mean, there might be a legit blaze out, and Tim might have killed a hotel full of people with this shit. And we did gloss over Al taking care of these kids. At some point, he just gets overwhelmed. He's got three boys of varying ages in this house. He's not used to this. He just lives with his mom.
Yeah.
And Brad's minutes away from getting it to second base. Mark's given up on. He's just still being a downer, and Randy's outside. So the whole shit's gone. It's gone to flames. And eventually, Randy actually just locks fucking Al out of the fucking house, Steve. It's over.
Randy's a shithead. Shout out to JTT, but on this show, he was a little shithead. He even says, what happened to you? You used to be cool. Now you're like mom with a beard.
I mean, damn, Andy's locked the motherfucker out of the house. Once you got back, like, what happened once Al got back in? Because at that point, there's some heat that's going to get laid down. Even if I am a nice guy, somebody's going to get fucking Randy. You're getting a foot in the ass, red fucking red style.
Borland doesn't resort to violence.
Mm.
He set his
He'll
foot
wire
down,
a
though.
fucking light switch though that fucks Randy's like world up for he'll miswire that shit and Randy will get zapped real good once and then he'll know.
He didn't get any cupcakes that night. That's what happened.
But fucking Brad did, Steve, if you know what I'm talking about. He got
some cakes.
Oh shit. Yeah, so Jill learns her lesson and she really realizes, she's got a good thing here. She's got a local celebrity. She's got 3 kids. And Jack, maybe he was packing some heat in the pants, but otherwise she's not missing out on a lot.
Now, that following year, 1994, rapper Tupac Shakur is convicted on sexual assault charges and later sentenced up to 4.5 years in prison. I remember when this happened, and it's crazy because he had a movie that came out around this time, Above the Rim. That came out in 94, and I believe he had Poetic Justice happen in 93, that previous year. So, I mean, he's already a known star at this point. He had released I Get Around, the Tupacalypse Now, all of that shit. He was already in juice, and it's still, it's questionable if anything even happened. It's still, like, after he was released, he still claimed his innocence. The guys who were with him, Tretch of Naughty by Nature, he still protects his innocence. And, you're Tupac, man. This is just me speaking from a fan's perspective. Like, dude, honeys want you. Like, I just,
Especially
why would you
that
have
dude.
to take
I mean,
it?
he was kind of like he was out there. I mean, he was more than most rappers, like out there fucking like more of a sex symbol too, and an actor. So what's crazy is like now that you're saying it, I remember it a little bit, but only vaguely. So this doesn't even register as something like related to Tupac at all. I forgot about it.
Yeah, but yeah, man, that's what he was in serving time for. And not too long after he was released, man, he did that iconic double album, All Eyes on Me, 96.
One of my favorite albums of all time. Like definitely in Perrysburg, that was getting on rotation constantly.
But that following year, 1995, Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead premiered in theaters. 5 different criminals face imminent death after botching a job quite badly. Directed by Gary Fletter, starring Andy Garcia, Christopher Lloyd, William Forsythe, Bill Nunn, Steve Buscemi, Christopher Walken, and Jack Warden.
Man, this movie sound like I've heard this name, never saw it, but hearing the cast of this, I'm definitely gonna watch this. This has to be a good movie. I can't imagine it's not.
I mean, yeah, man. I don't think it saw the light of day like it should have, man, because like you said, man, it's got a star-studded cast. I've never heard of the director, honestly.
No, I haven't. Yeah, you're right, but I've definitely heard of this movie. So maybe this was like one of those like sort of indie-ish movies, like they came out around the time of like what year did you say? Like 93?
1995.
So it was like Pulp Fiction-ish era, like in that era of filmmaking where they were releasing like sort of these smaller drama movies like this. But yeah, I've never seen it. I'm definitely gonna have to because man, that's about. There's a couple of Oscars in that cast, I think.
It's got the Steve Bush in it, man.
Oh yeah,
Like,
even like William Forsythe is not by any means like a famous dude, but even that guy's a baller, dude. He's like a great character actor from the '90s. I think he was in a couple of Rob Zombie movies.
William Ford, he's been in a lot of fucking movies,
I mean, shit,
man.
he was in Blue Streak for fuck's sake with Martin Lawrence.
On that same day in 95, White Man's Burden premiered in theaters. And in an alternative America where African Americans and white Americans have reversed cultural roles, a white factory worker kidnaps a black factory owner for dismissing him over perceived disrespect.
Is this Travolta?
This is John Travolta and Harry Belafonte.
Yeah, this is a fucking dumbass movie, Steve. This is not a good movie.
Sounds like it.
I mean, I can't, like, the fact that it got made is even more wild, but I just remember, I think the culminating scenes are in a bank, I think, or something, and this is Travolta's at his finest, I guess.
Dude, I guess this was like after the Pulp Fiction thing is like he started getting work again. And now it's just like, oh, dude, see, this is why you were going down before Tarantino found you. Stop taking any and every role, Travolta.
Tarantino was just on Tom Segura's podcast, one of his podcasts, and they had a really cool interview you should check out. But he was talking about like the casting process of Pulp Fiction and what went into that and stuff. And man, dude, Travolta, he's like a lot of people wanted Travolta's role. And like
Of course.
I think one of the agents he was dealing with was like I think it was Bruce Willis's agent. Is like, look, you can have Bruce Willis in that role, and whatever movie has done before this is going to be some multi-billion-dollar movie that's come out with super successful. And the last thing that John Travolta has been in is Look Who's Talking 3. So what do you want to work with? And Tarantino's obviously a genius, so he went one way, but it is funny, like he wasn't saying no to a lot. And then he did have that rise where he did like Phenomenon and Michael, like more of those like
Michael.
family movies that were not great, but are like my parents ate that shit up. And
Yeah.
Phenomenon ain't that bad of a movie actually. It's not too bad. But after that, White Man's Burden came. So there you go.
Yeah.
That was the full
But
clip. He went back down, and now he's doing like shit like Gotti, and he's just fucking trashing his legacy.
oh my God, Mr. Carter. But that following year, 96, Wayne Gretzky becomes the first and only player in NHL history to reach 3,000-point plateau, including playoffs. He records an assist in the New York Rangers 6-2 win over the Montreal Canadiens at Madison Square Garden.
Wayne.
Yeah, I don't know what any of that shit means, but it's goat talk, and the fact that he was the first and only to do some shit that's monumental. Bankhead bounds for Wayne Gretzky, goddammit. In 1997, Aaron Carter released his self-titled debut. He burst onto the music scene at the age of 10 with the release of his debut album, making him the youngest male artist in the world since Michael Jackson in 1969. It's fucking weird and wild stuff.
Yeah, he definitely did his thing for a couple years, and now he's not doing anything because he's dead.
R.I.P. man.
R.I.P.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and I know his brother was torn up about it, despite the fact I guess there was some bitter sibling rivalry where Aaron was like trashing Nick's name in the press and in interviews and stuff. But they like ultimately being the big brother, and I feel like this is the case in general with big brothers. Even if you are done wrong by the younger sibling, because you're the older one, you have to overlook the pettiness and like not succumb to it and look for the silver lining, and you want to find resolve. And I feel like that's the role Nick played, because when he found out about it, he was torn up, like readily shaken during their performance following that. I guess the Backstreet Boys had a show either that night or the day after, and he wasn't himself, man. So R.I.P. to Aaron Carter. I never listened to your fucking music, but it sucks, man, for anyone to die prematurely like that. But on that same day in 97, in their 81st season, the Montreal Canadiens become the first team in history to play 5,000 NHL games. They host the Penguins, but lose 1-0. Their franchise record at that point was 2,625 to 1,603 and 772 losses, with a 620 winning percentage. Not bad, man. After 5,000 games.
That's a good one. That's definitely that's top of the heap. I didn't realize they were that prolific of winners, because when we were young, they weren't successful. That's
The
all.
90s weren't their era. No. I mean, just like on this day, they fucking lost, despite it being their 5,000th game. Yeah, you lost to the fucking Penguins, and that was when they had Lemieux and Jagger. So yeah, it's rightfully so that y'all lost.
Oh, they had the mullet too. They had that Yagier still. Fucking.
I think so. I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they had that. That was late enough. They definitely had the mullet on the team. That's a legendary mullet, Steve. Shout out to Yamir Yager's hair, which I think actually became sort of the prototypical mullet, or at least hockey player haircut. I don't know if they're one and the same, but shout out, legend.
Man, you want to join our band? I don't even know how to play guitar. Got the hair for it.
You're in.
Somebody who wasn't privy to any of that shit is probably NBA guard Latrell Sprewell, because he was busy choking motherfuckers. Come here, PJ Carlissimo. He was suspended for 10 games. You remember when that happened, Matt?
Yeah. And it made me like Latrell Sprewell a little bit more too, honestly.
Yeah. Because I wanted to choke the fuck out of my basketball coach. You can't see him, but there he is giving that press conference. Man, how can I feed my family all $1 million?
Shit.
That's him.
You ever talk to PJ Carlissimo? Want to choke him?
You want to choke that motherfucker too?
Yeah, I mean, Sprewell had a temper, but this was wild. This was huge news, and I remember they just made such a crazy deal about it.
Look at him. Look at him over there.
It's like
you know what
I'll do, right?
Yeah, you know what's going on in my mind. Look in my direction one more time.
Did he come back? Because I feel like after that happened, like he got shipped off somewhere else, didn't he? He didn't come back, and did he play for the team?
No, dude, he came back. He played for the fucking Knicks, and the Knicks ended up like who beat the Spurs. That's who the Spurs beat for their first championship in '99. So this happened in '97. He got shipped off to New York. He fucking kills it over there. He's like a valuable player. He's getting marquee minutes. He's a key player. They made history. Actually, they were the first 8th seed to make it all the way to the finals. And like I said, they would lose to the Spurs, I believe, in either 5 or 6 games. But yeah, Sprewell was on that team.
He was a bad motherfucker. He was a great basket. It sucks that people remember him more for choking a dude out, but you know, he had some cool ass rims too for a while.
Yeah,
How did that
sometimes
happen,
coaches.
Steve? Do you have an explanation? He just got into the rim game and put his name associated with some was like how did that
I
happen?
I'm not sure if that's him. Are you
Really?
positive that's him? Because I mean,
I mean,
like
they were
there are
called
other spree.
Spreewells, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's just not him. I just thought he
Yeah,
was associated with that in some way. Maybe I'm wrong.
yeah, I never
It
got
might
the
be a
fun facts on that.
Mandela effect thing.
It could be, man. But that following year, 1998, Comedy Central Presents premieres. And damn it, I have watched countless hours of this show because it would have some of the top names, or the up and coming names at least, in the comedy realm, man. They would have a young Louis C.K. They would have D.L. Hewley. They will have D.C. Curry or Don
Hedberg,
D.C. Curry. Uh, Fucking name your pick, man. Just
Mitch
whoever
Hedberg,
was.
Dane Cook.
Mitch Hedberg,
Dane
Dane Cook.
Cook's launched him into superstardom just off that one where he had the black tank top on. I
Yeah,
mean, that for me was one of the ones I remember the most because, dude, I was a huge Dane Cook fan for the longest time. So, like, I definitely, this was one of my favorite things. I used to love stand up and Comedy Central. They had a lot of these shows. They had Premium Blend. They had a show
Blend,
called
yeah.
Lounge Lizards that I loved a lot. That was sort of the same thing. And this, and I mean, yeah, name anybody who's a famous stand up. They have one, you
For
know.
real, man. And I wish they bring it back. But I don't have cable, haven't had cable in goddamn half a decade. Uh, but this was one of the attractions of this network, man. Outside of South Park, outside of Chappelle Show, and Daily Show, I would be fucking with this, man. And sometimes they would run marathons.
Yeah, and they would so they had a bunch that they like to play a lot, but yeah,
Yeah.
man, they just so many people that you would just discover from this show because again, it was like you said, it was my go-to too. I love Comedy Central, and it was good to just throw on because they would just play anything. They play Kids in the Hall, they play fucking the
SNL.
SNL, the old school Whose Line Is It Anyway from England with all the same
Yeah.
people, like the people doing it, but like the host was some English dude. Yeah, dude. Comedy
Tough
Central is
crowd.
killing it. Is Comedy Central even like a thing that's is it a channel or is it just like an app where they just play their old shit?
South Park has to exist, so yeah.
Isn't that an
And
HBO thing?
I mean, the episodes are on there, but like I don't think they air it on HBO. I mean, and then there's Daily Show. Like I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
they air
you're right
Daily
about
Show.
that for sure. You're right.
Yeah.
I don't have cable either. I just have apps. So
Yeah. In 1999, Richard Pryor appears in the cold open of the ABC sitcom Norm in what would prove to be his final television appearance. He would die in 2005, 6 years later. And, at first I wanted to cover this, but reading the episode, I was like, he's only in the cold open. But like to me, this is important because Richard Pryor, man, just like George Carlin, a lot of people consider them to be the godfathers of what we see now in stand up, man. Like they walked so a lot of these guys could run. They were the ones. It's okay to say fuck on stage and talk about dicks and pussies and all that shit. They were the guys who were doing this in the late 60s and the 70s. And they've gotten their flowers while they were alive, and they're not going to stop getting their flowers as long as the real ones are here, man.
well, and
So
he made it so that you could talk about your fucked up life. Like I feel like a
yeah,
lot of stand up wasn't about like people's real, like it was like Seinfeld shit. It was like that
like
80s style stand up where it's like
yeah,
airplane food jokes and shit. And he like went out there and was like telling people like real deal shit about his life. And he is one, I think, if not most comedians' favorite stand up comic. I mean, it's a huge percentage. And he's a beast, dude. His stand up is
yeah.
some of the funniest shit. Even still, it holds up. You
Like
know?
he's laid the foundation for a lot of things, man. Even like when black comedians do the generic white guy laugh, oh, like then I was like, hey, but like he was the first guy to do that. Like, and it's kind of like if he didn't do it, then like would it even be a thing? Like little
Yeah.
stuff like that, man. And it's so common for like when you go to Comic View, or back in the day when you would watch Comic View, at least 3 or 4 guys would be like, oh yeah, man, if it was a brother, man, he would have been like, "Duh, duh, 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 duh."
Hell
If it was
yeah.
a white guy, he would have been like, oh yeah. Like, thank you, Richard Pryor.
Hell yeah.
But in that same day in 99, rapper Jay-Z stabs record executive Lance Rivera at a nightclub in New York. Oh.
I don't remember this either. I must have just been out of the loop, Steve. I don't remember Jay-Z stabbing a guy. I would have thought he had a guy to stab a guy, you know?
Yeah, he usually does. And I remember it because it was covered on MTV News. Doom, da, doom, 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 doom. You heard it here first. Who
Send
was that
Beanie
asshole?
Siegel at him. Like, don't go at him yourself, Jay. Young Buck stabbed a guy on live TV for Dre. You know, you get one of the young up and comers to do that.
Well, he was stabbed at him at the release party for Q-Tip's album Amplified at the now closed Kit Kat Club in Times Square. The incident arose over the alleged bootlegging of Jay-Z's album Volume 3, Life and Times of Sean Carter. And I bought that album, so I'm safe from a Sean Carter stabbing. But it's a great album. And I mean, that was the reason behind it, man. Because he don't play about his money. He never had, never will.
Well, shit, it didn't affect him at all. He stabbed that dude up and walked right into some Beyonce pussy. So
So
he
that's all
figured
you
it
got to
out.
do.
You just gotta stab a guy, Steve. Like, okay, don't get any ideas, bud.
Well, I mean, Ryan Day's already on that list. But any horse legs, handlebars, coochie hairs you want to sniff?
Coochie hairs, no, but just a movie that I forgot. Well, I didn't even forget, Steve, but I got to revisit this weekend was Happy Gilmore, and I just gotta say, man, like I don't know a lot of older movies that stand the test of time, as well as a lot of Adam Sandler films, and I was dying laughing watching Happy Gilmore, and I don't think there's gonna be a day in my life where that movie's not funny. A lot of things have been cast to the wayside for me. They're not good. Throw in Happy Gilmore and just laugh your ass off.
Agreed. I
Take a
mean,
nice glass of shut the hell up if you know what I'm talking about, Steve.
anything Adam Sandler from the 90s, man,
And
you can't go wrong.
it has like, you know, man, just like having Ben Stiller play those characters in the 90s he played where he would just show up, be funny real quick and get out of the movie.
For
And
2 seconds.
I miss that shit, dude. I don't feel like maybe they are making them and I'm not seeing them and I'm not open to it, but I just feel like that's not like it's either super serious or it's ultra goofy in a way that's not this middle like what Happy Gilmore is, where it's goofy, but I don't know. I don't know how to explain it better than that. It's like I don't see that kind of movie like that anymore. Not even Adam Sandler. He's making fucking goddamn dramas that make me want to have a heart attack. You know, he's not
I
making this type of shit anymore.
feel like Will Ferrell's kind of carried that tradition. Same thing with Andy Samberg. Uh,
Yeah, Andy Samberg definitely like he's in a lot of unsung and like not widely talked about movies that I think are hilarious. And yeah, I mean Will Ferrell's just fucking you know how much I had many Will Ferrell movies, even the ones that aren't great, he makes good. So
especially if it's the shake and bake connection.
hell yeah. But what about you, Steve?
Man, all I got is in 1990, Howard Stern is airing the episode Lesbian Love Connection. I watched a little bit of it, and as you would imagine, Howard's being obnoxious, which is the best kind of Howard. I don't want Howard any other kind of way, but a fucking obnoxious. But yeah, if you get a chance to check that out on YouTube, Lesbian Love Connection, Howard Stern in 1990, and in Full House 1992, they're airing the episode I'm Not DJ, and Stephanie is trying to cover up the fact that she got her ears pierced, shittily done, by the way, by Kimmy Gibbler's, I believe, cousin. At the
Ugh.
Pierce Pagoda, and I just remember that episode. It stands out just like Stephanie's shitty piercing. She's also she's also my favorite of the Tanners, man. Shout out to those titties.
Oh my
I love
God.
how you grown. But
Stephanie.
Yeah, man, I believe that's all I got. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And also check out Over the Culture on Sundays, Crushgasm on Wednesdays, B3F Podcast, Don't Worry, Be Movie with Amanda and Wade. This is Steve G and Maggie with Happened in the 90s. Fuck Michigan.